Hi everyone, it's Jeff
And Cassandra
from RV Parenting, and we have a Class A RV for our family of 5. It's a Newmar Baystar if you haven't seen any of our previous videos. And the question today is, do you really need a Class A RV for a family of 5, and what are some other options that might work for a family of that size? So that's what we're getting into today. So what have you got for us?
So when you think about a family of 5, it really depends on how old the people are in this family of 5. For us, we basically have 4 adult-sized people and a tiny toddler who just pretty much free ranges the entire motorhome, plus our 2 puppies that come along with us, but they're about 10 pounds each. So between them and the toddlers, we don't worry about that. So we went with a bigger size model than what we had previously rented before, because again, it's 4 adults. So we're wanting something on a bigger side, and our RV fits those needs. It's 33 feet long. We have 2 different slide outs. The beds convert for us. But honestly, I think that's even a little bit on the smaller side.
And we have been planning to eventually upgrade our RV. We still like the Class A. We kind of, I don't know why exactly. We really like the way the Class A is set up, the functionality of it, the size of it. We probably will get something closer to 40 feet though the next time we buy an RV. And we probably will consider getting bunk beds or something for our bigger girls so that they have kind of their own space rather than taking over the living room, which is what they typically do right now. And that brings us to the question of, what about bunk beds? And what kinds of RVs typically come with bunk beds? Ours does not. And we looked at several Class A RVs before we dove into that, and we didn't actually see any. There are some Class A RVs that have bunk beds. Newmar, I think, offers that for some of their floor plans, but they're going to be much more common with Class C RVs. And that's what we'd rented prior to buying a Class A. And there's nothing wrong with a Class C at all.
I think if we had, we go back to the size of our family, it's not so much the size of it being 5 people, it's the size of the people in the RV. And if we had younger children, let's say our kids, were 2, 3, and 4, or just younger than 10, I think a Class C would honestly...
Sometimes they act 2, 3, or 4.
But their size, again, the size. You could go with a Class C with a family of 5 and be just fine, with the idea that you probably are going to need to sell it and upgrade to a Class A. Because again, they just keep growing, keep eating.
And before we bought our Class A, we actually did almost buy a 5th wheel. So what do you think about 5th wheels?
I love 5th wheels. If you are going to be stationary for a long time, let's say you take the summer off with the kids and you're leaving Texas, you're going to go spend the time in Montana, cooler weather, mountains, beautiful. I would definitely recommend a 5th wheel, just because you're going to have a lot more space, you're going to have more slide outs, just more room to move around. However, if you're going to be a family that's on the road, constantly getting up and moving, which is what we like to do, we're movers and shakers, so staying stationary for a couple of months in one location doesn't appeal to us as travelers. So for us, a motorhome, I think, is definitely the way to go, as maneuvering mountains and smaller roads and locations. A 5th wheel, I don't know, it's very intimidating for me.
And in a minute, I'm going to talk more specifically about the benefits for a family of 5 in a motorhome versus a towed camper. But ultimately, we put money down on a 5th wheel, and we both went to bed that night, woke up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, panicked, feeling like we'd made the wrong decision. We both felt that way.
Yeah.
And we got a refund back on our deposit, and we moved forward on the Class A.
But I do like the 5th wheel because it is so
They're
much
huge.
bigger. They're huge. It's like having an actual home that you can go into. Everybody has their own space. It's really comfortable. The kitchens are bigger, which I'm a big fan of. It's just overall, if you're going to be stationary, I would definitely go with the 5th wheel because it is a lot larger than most Class A's.
And that brings me to the next point of, what is the most popular RV type? Not that you necessarily have to go with that. And the answer, when I looked into this, actually surprised me. The answer is travel trailers. So not Class C's, not Class A's, not any kind of motorhome, not even a 5th wheel, but travel trailers. Do you have any idea why they're the most popular?
I'm guessing because they're easier to move around in. If you're just going away, if you're kind of weekend warriors where you just take the RV out for a couple of trips, and yeah, I think a travel trailer would be awesome because again, you're just going away away for a few days and coming back, you don't need as much space.
We have some good friends that we go camping with sometimes, and they actually do have a travel trailer, and so we've gotten to kind of check it out, and we've talked to them to see what they like. But ultimately, the reason that these are the most popular kind of RV is the low barrier of entry, the low cost. You can get into a decent travel trailer for $8,000-10,000 back long before we bought our RV. That's what we were looking at, and it was the reason that we looked at that was for the cost. Do you remember?
Yeah, and we decided against that just because the size of our family. Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated. We knew we were going to be on the road taking long stretches. We weren't going to be just weekend warriors, which we are, but we wanted to expand beyond that. And the travel trailer just really didn't fit our needs. However, with our friends, there's 3 of them. They're only doing weekend getaways, so that's perfect for their needs.
And yeah, we took off for a month immediately after buying our RV. We have another month-long trip planned next summer. So we're not just weekend warriors. We're not full-time RVers either.
We're that in between.
Yeah, we're that awkward in-between stage. But yes, the low cost, the ease of towing and driving a travel trailer as opposed to a fifth wheel, because fifth wheels are enormous, much bigger challenge to drive and to tow those than it is a travel trailer. But those are really the reasons why a travel trailer is the most popular kind of RV.
And with travel trailers and fifth wheels, you can get 2 bedrooms per trailer. In fact, the one that we originally purchased that gave us nightmares and palpitations had 2 bedrooms, and it was great. The layout of it, you walk in, you've got your big, living room and kitchen. To the right-hand side, you have the master suite with its own private bathroom, and then to the left-hand side, you had the kids' room, which had their own bathroom and shower,
bunk
beds, a little sleeper sofa, plenty of closet room. I was like, this is great. We have teenagers. They need their own space. We need our own space. And a toddler, again, free ranging, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it just didn't fit what our travel expectations were. We were just we need to be able to jet set quickly and easily, and it just was a little bit intimidating for both
it
of
was
us.
Great in so many regards.
Yeah.
Nice, full-sized refrigerator, kitchen island, granite countertops, large enough living room and giant television where we could sit around and watch stuff as a family. And
outdoor
then entertainment, and then the 2 completely separate bedrooms and bathrooms. If you've got teenagers, you know exactly how important that is. It was great in almost every respect. But
yeah, we loved the space of it. It just, for our needs, it just wasn't what we were really looking for.
Well, for starters, we didn't even own a truck, so we had to have bought a truck to tow the thing with, get the tow hitch installed in that, and then between the truck and the fifth wheel, the thing would have been enormous, like 50 feet long, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we said 60 feet. It was
insane. We panicked and we changed course.
But they are great. And another great thing about fifth wheels and trailers, again, with this fifth wheel that we loved, it had all this space that we were desperately looking for. Was half the price what we actually ended up paying for our Newmar base star. So payments would have been a lot less expensive. Our friends only pay $200 a month for their RV, and that's all they're traveling in Texas. I mean, they can see and do so much, and it's at such a low rate.
So I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about some of the benefits for a family of 5 in a motorhome versus a towed camper. We've kind of already touched on some of those things. For me, the primary benefit is the fact that we can all ride in the RV when we're going down the highway. I'm driving the thing. Oftentimes Cassandra is sitting in the passenger seat, but she has the flexibility of getting up and tending to their needs while we're moving. If we were towing a vehicle, whether that was a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, we would all be crammed in a pickup truck. All 5 of us plus our 2 dogs, because it's not safe to stick the dogs in a towed vehicle either. So we would have all been crammed in a pickup, and then just, if we're driving for 6-7 hours at a stretch, that's a tall order.
Like a nightmare.
Sounds horrible, doesn't it? So in a motorhome, we can all ride in the camper as it's going down the highway. If somebody needs to use the restroom, they can get up and use the restroom. That's not necessarily recommended or legal, of course. Depending upon the state you're in, that might not be legal, but we do that sometimes.
3-year-olds have emergencies.
And it just gives us that freedom and that flexibility and that space to stretch out. And the fridge is right there if somebody needs a snack. And it's just for us, it just works way better than it would in a towed vehicle.
Yeah, for sure. And that's nothing against the towed vehicles, but for our needs, again, it just was very vital.
Yeah, especially I think a towed camper is great for 2 or 3 people, but for a large family, I just feel like that's not.
You have
the
to
right
have
way to go.
space, especially with teenagers. Again, if you have younger children, they're always ready for the ride. They will go anywhere. I highly recommend traveling with toddlers and little people because they're compact, and you can get a smaller motorhome or smaller trailers and see and do a lot more for a lot less money. And they're just down for whatever. They're crazy. They're like, yes, new
Teenagers
adventures.
are not like that.
No, don't travel with teenagers. Just kidding. Travel with teenagers, but be prepared. There's going to be a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
So speaking of Class Cs, what are really great about them is that you can get what they call kind of like a Super C, or that's what I call it. I know they have like a Super B, but I call it a Super C. And these are the motorhomes that look like 18-wheelers, but they're a little bit smaller. They typically start about $500,000 each and go up. However, today I was looking at one of them, the Dynamax Core DX37BH floor plan. That's a lot to say, I know. I was looking at this floor plan and it was great, and I found it was only like $170,000, and it was only 6 years old for about 40,000 miles. And these come with bunk beds. They come with washer and dryers. You don't have to worry about installing it later. You don't have to, because a lot of people are remodeling.
And this is a Class C?
This is a Class C. So it's again, it's a Super C. This is going to be 40 feet long, and as well as the Newmar Superstar, the 4058 floor plan, I believe is what it is. These are 40-foot long Class Cs. They're not Class A's, and the reason behind that is the way that it's built. So again, it looks like an 18-wheeler in the front. It has a little hatch over it. I would probably drive this Class C versus a Class A. So it just seems a little bit more sturdy. It's more brick-like in structure. The wheel, it's all a little bit lower to the ground, but they're huge. They're massive.
So it's just a really long Class C RV.
Correct. It's a really long Class C RV. The configuration of the driver's seat's a little bit different, but it's huge. Again, these are 40 feet long, but they're not going to be smaller than that, but it has all of your needs. It's got the bunk beds, it's got the washer and dryer, it's got slide outs, and it's fantastic. They're just really great. They're nice too. These are going to be our luxury liners, if you will, of RVs, of our land yachts. And it's great. I would love to eventually move up in our Newmar Baystar to the Superstar, just because the size and all of your amenities are right there.
So I wonder, what would be the benefit of buying a Super C versus a Class A? What you mentioned, you would feel comfortable driving a 40-foot Super C, but not our Class A. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just feel it's a little bit more compact. It just seems a little bit more sturdy when you're looking at it. The specs, it's more of a brick versus an oval. Like if you're throwing something, I want to throw a brick, not an oval, an egg. But it looks, just the way it's set up, and again, the front of it is more like a Class C. You've got the cab up front with the overhead. You're not as high off the ground, although you're longer, you're not as high up.
So they have the overhead bunk in addition to the bunk beds.
Correct.
And in addition to the master
Correct.
bedroom. All right, that's cool.
So there's all kinds of living space for everybody, and I like that, because Class A's, you don't have that bunk space area, and some of them are making those models. I know the Precept has that, and it's a great feature, but again, usually you're not going to be able to find that. And so the Super Cs, as I call them, the Dynamax Core and the Newmar Superstar, are fantastic. It's basically, if you had a fifth wheel, all of the amenities of fifth wheel, the washer dryer, the room, the space, without it being 60 feet long.
Yeah, and I can tell you, with a family of 5, having a washer dryer in the RV would be really cool, because we don't have that, and we definitely could use that.
And a lot of RV places still do the coin washer and dryers. At Disney World, we experienced you could use your credit card or debit card, but a lot of places haven't updated their facilities. So if you don't have any coins, then it's going to be even harder to find a laundromat and be able to use it. So you have to really think. But you can upgrade your RVs, but it's nice to just buy it and everything's there.
And if you add a washer dryer to an existing RV, then you got to sacrifice something for that space.
Closet space.
And that's already in short supply.
Yeah, that's why we have strict packing guidelines.
Anyway, I hope that answers your question. So a family of 5 doesn't actually have to have a Class A RV, but it is a nice option over a towed camper like a fifth wheel or a travel trailer. But if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It sends a great signal to YouTube, and then they're going to want to show it to more people just like you. It's going to help our channel grow and get our message out there. If you have a comment, please leave that down below. Maybe something you'd like to see in a future video, something you liked, even something you didn't like. That feedback helps our videos to improve. But for now, We'll see you in the next video.